Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire to demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast with Reg Clark.
So I am so ready to keep this conversation moving. I hope everybody had a happy 4th of July. We were off for the 4th of July. Thank you, boss lady, for that. I appreciate that. But while the boss lady is out tooling around in her nice, great RV, I've been struggling for the last couple of weeks since we had that week off. Since we've been off, the Sha'Carri Richardson thing happened. I think I kind of covered that in my past podcast, talking about Jackie Robinson and about African-American athletes and them doing their things to get into the system the way that they need to get into the system. So I think I covered that. We'll talk about that down the road if we need to. Bottom line, in my opinion, I know it sounds harsh, but has she followed the rules? She knew what she needed to do. I understand about her mom and the whole nine. I get that. But at some point, we're not exempt from the rules, or we can't change the rules after the fact. So we'll talk about that. But I am so proud of the way that she handled that, regardless of what other people think. Her emotion and her feelings, she channeled that, and read a couple of articles, and I posted that on the Diversity Dude on my Facebook page about emotional intelligence and what she did to handle that in an emotionally intelligent fashion, which I thought was awesome. She took ownership and accountability, and that was great. The soul cap for the Olympic athletes that are unable to swim with that soul cap. The story doesn't end there. If you truly believe in the soul cap, support it. Go out there and give them your business. Support them by ordering that soul cap. Don't let the Olympics define whether or not that's something that you want to support. So it doesn't end and begin with the Olympics. Support those organizations. Soul Cap was just one company based out of Britain. And I'm not even sure if it's Black owned. So you might want to do your homework too and see who owns the company and whether or not you want to give them your patronage. All right. So we dealt with Sha'Carri Richardson, the soul cap. Those are things that have been happening. The voting thing is still going on. And I covered that in a podcast a few podcasts ago. So if you're new to my podcast, it just goes to show how much of this stuff is not really new. We're just kind of repeating the cycles and going through the things. There's an old saying. It's actually in the Bible in Exodus. I don't want to freak any of y'all out, but in the Bible in Exodus, it talks about there's nothing new under the sun. So if you've ever heard that expression, it actually comes from the Bible. There's nothing new under the sun. So everything that we're experiencing is cyclical. We've gone through this time and time again, which brings me to something that I really want to talk about, something that really brings me joy. And I think that if you really want to learn a little bit about history and you're a music fan, you're absolutely going to love. So last week was the premiere of Questlove, and you guys may know Questlove. If you're a hip hop fan, you know Questlove from the rap group Roots. If you're not a hip hop fan, you may know Questlove from late night TV and being a part of the band for late night TV. So he had a awesome documentary that he created called The Summer of Soul, and The Summer of Soul was actually created to discuss a Harlem cultural festival that centered on music 51 years ago now. It was the summer of 1969. Awesome summer, the summer that I was born, the summer that man made it to the moon. So the summer of Woodstock. And that's one of the things that it juxtaposed itself against, was the fact that there was this huge festival that went on for 6 weekends, right? So it was a concert series that went on for 6 weekends. And it's estimated that over 300,000 people attended this festival. And this festival occurred every weekend for 6 weekends with an estimated 50,000 people per weekend attending it. The likes of Stevie Wonder. I honestly, and I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, I didn't even know that Stevie Wonder could play the drums. But seeing Stevie Wonder play the drums was just something that was just, it's indescribable. I can't even put words to it. Stevie Wonder is going off on the drums, and to see BB King and Gladys Knight, and to see Gladys Knight walk off the stage, and Gladys Knight actually has this little thing when she walks off the stage that is better than swag. I mean, it's indescribable. The look that she gives you when she walks off stage, to see. Mavis Staples. If you had the opportunity to watch the movie about Mahalia Jackson, to actually see her live and in person, and Nina Simone, to see all of these great people come together to support Harlem, to really give back to Harlem and to acknowledge what Harlem was. These were big acts that really didn't have to do this. They could have done a lot of other things. But they chose to come to Harlem and support this. The organizer at the time was a little known lounge singer who just had the knack for putting things together. But they came there and they supported Harlem, and Harlem supported them. They were fearless performers who were not afraid to give their message across. And I think if I fast forward to today and I think about There's Nothing New Under the Sun, I think about how powerful that concert was. And do we have any concerts? Do we have any artists that are as fearless today? With the exception of Beyonce, I can't think of who 50,000 people would really come to see for a positive message, for something that was reassuring, reaffirming. And for those individuals to go through that concert and to really deliver not only a performance, but a message. And that's what was so awesome about the Summer of Soul, is that I almost felt guilty for being born in 69. I wish I was born 20 years earlier so that I could have really fully understood the Summer of Soul. And it's powerful to listen to it. And I mean, a lot of people say, Reg, you'll cry about anything, which might be kind of true, but this was really an emotional journey for me, to see Mahalia Jackson up there. And it's the little quirky things I noticed too, right? So the things that I've noticed that shows how much time has changed, the times have changed, is, for example, Black women couldn't find stockings in their color. So most of the Black women that you see on stage are wearing white stockings. Or the idea that when they did the close-ups on Mahalia Jackson, or they did the close-ups on Nina Simone, you notice that they didn't make makeup for women of color. So you see the discrepancy there. And it just makes you think about the larger conversation. If we couldn't be accommodated in that way, how many other ways were we not accommodated? And so to see through all of that all of these performers on stage still prevailed, and they still shared a message that they were not apologetic about, not afraid to give a message. It was the summer where, and in the documentary, they stated it was the summer that we went from Negroes and African Americans to Black and proud, and being a positive affirmation about who we are. And Nina Simone does this great poem, and Sly Stallone comes out. I mean, excuse me, not Sly Stallone, but Sly comes out, and he does this great thing where he really empowers the crowd by firing them up. It's this idea that how much have we regressed, and did they purposely hide this film for over 50 years because they knew the power of it. So what I want to talk about really is supporting each other, is supporting our businesses, and stop looking for somebody else to support us. Stop looking for the Olympics to validate the Soul Cap when you have the ability to go out and support the Soul Cap by buying it. Stop looking for another segment to validate the things that you know are necessary for your community. One of the reasons why I really appreciate working with Sheletta and the Sheletta Makes Me Laugh podcast is because that was her goal. Her goal was to say, I'm not going to wait for somebody else to validate me. I'm going to go ahead and create this for myself. And when I look at that Harlem Soul Festival, the Harlem Cultural Festival, all I can think about was it was a sea of people that looked like me. And it made me feel like anything is possible. Everything is possible. It made me feel like, wow, this is what we do when we create our own opportunity and not wait for opportunities. So if it's in business and you have an opportunity to create your own brand, you have an opportunity to create your own service, your own product, do it. Don't wait. But at the same time, make sure that you connect yourself within your community. And look at the documentary, The Summer of Soul by Questlove, to make sure that you see what the blueprint looks like, to make sure that you understand that you belong to a wonderful group, a wonderful culture of people who set the standards, for a lot of things today. So this whole thing about cultural appropriation, black fishing, if you don't know what it is, Google it. But those are real things that are out there today. And then you'll understand when people say, I wish that people love blacks as much as they love black culture. And I think I'm going to pay the meter and I'll park it right there.
Tune in each week as Reg Clark shows you how to demand and implement diversity and inclusion at your job. To hear more, check out his previous shows on ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com.